Hi everyone, I'm Ron Cantor and you're watching Out of Zion on GODTV. One of the things I find interesting is that many Christians believe that Pentecost originated as a Christian holiday. They assume that it was given that name to commemorate the outpouring of the Holy Spirit in Acts chapter 2, or they simply have no idea where it comes from. Pentecost comes from the Greek word meaning 50. It was the Greek way of saying Shavuot, the Jewish Feast of Weeks. It was also called in the Bible the Harvest Festival and the Feast of First Fruits. In the Torah, God commands Israel to celebrate Shavuot, which means weeks, 49 days after the Sunday, after the first Sabbath, after Passover begins. Those 50 days are called the counting of the Omer, or sheaves of grain. But here is where it gets really cool. Yeshua rose from the dead on the first day of the counting of the Omer. It was the Sunday after the first Sabbath, after Passover. Now that Sunday was a big deal because Leviticus 23 commands the Israelites to bring a first fruits offering. Literally, it was called head of the harvest, and it points to Yeshua. First, Yeshua is the head or Lord of the harvest, as he says in Matthew 9. And secondly, Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15, referring to Yeshua, but now Messiah has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep or died. That brilliant rabbi from Tarsus knew exactly what he was saying, that the first fruits offering during Passover referred to the resurrection of the Messiah. And then we count off 7 weeks, which leads us to the day of Shavuot. Now, God could have chosen any day to birth the congregation of Yeshua followers, but he chose Shavuot, or Pentecost, clearly to say to the future Jesus followers from the nations, don't forget the root. You come out of Israel. That is the tree into which you have been grafted. What are the chances that Yeshua would die on Passover as the Passover lamb, rise from the dead on that day that the head or the Lord of the harvest offering would be brought? And then he would pour out his Holy Spirit on Jerusalem on the Feast of Shavuot. I'm going to let you know exactly at the end. It could only have been intentional, by design, and strategic because on that very day, Jews from all over the world would be making pilgrimage to Jerusalem. In Acts 2, it lists all the different languages represented, such as the Parthians and Medes and people from Mesopotamia and Cappadocia and many more nations. Who were these people? It tells us in verse 5. Now there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. 3 times a year, Jews were commanded to make pilgrimage to Israel: Passover, Shavuot or Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles. God chose a day when Jerusalem would be full of Jews who could take the gospel back to their own people. While in the Bible it's a harvest holiday, sacrifices and offerings were given to thank God for the harvest, religious Jews today believe that God gave to Moses the Torah on Shavuot. It's customary to serve all kinds of dairy dishes. Many communities will stay up all night long studying the Bible, and the book of Ruth is always read to honor her descendant, King David. So what do we take away from this? Number 1, Yeshua died as the Passover lamb. Number 2, Yeshua, the Lord of the harvest, rose from the dead on the day that the first fruit or head of the harvest offering was brought. Number 3, the Jewish people count off 7 weeks from that day and then celebrate Shavuot, which just happened to be the day that God poured out his Spirit on Jerusalem. Now, I'm no mathematician or odds maker, but as promised, here is my best guess. The chances of these things happening 3 times in a row are 365 to the 3rd degree, or 1 in 48,627,000. Now, be sure to go to God.TV so you never miss an episode, and you can visit me at roncantor.com.
Please follow Ron on Twitter and Facebook at Ron S. Cantor to find out more about Ron and his ministry. For more information on GODTV and the Out of Zion programs, or to view these programs again, go to god.tv/Zion.